it's San Fran. I mean, nothing shocks me coming out of San Fran.
Okay, hold on a second. San Francisco gave you Jessica Szilagyi.
And for that, I will never forgive them.
You're listening to Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong.
Welcome to episode 179 of the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast. I'm Dave Roberts. With me is my podcast partner in crime, co-host, writer, journalist, owner of the Georgia Virtue, and dog mom, Jessica Szilagyi.
Hi. It's nice that, you used you said it that way before the show. You were ragging on me, calling me crazy.
You are crazy. You're certifiably nuts.
That's not true.
You give your dogs middle names.
Well, then, half of America is certifiably crazy.
At least. Mm-hmm. No, you're fun crazy. You're not chopping up a hooker in the basement crazy. You're fun crazy.
Well, I can confirm that I've never had a hooker at my house, in my basement, or, anywhere in the proximity. And I'm also not a hooker, so there's lots of angles
you are a journalist.
Correct. But we were talking about that before the show too. If I was a different kind of journalist, I probably wouldn't have to do this the hard way.
Yeah, all that clickbait you turn out.
Yeah.
You'll
never believe this.
Yeah, everybody's on to the same me making fun of you on there. I don't even get any angry responses anymore. I don't trust the author.
Well, you're talking about the Trutland County follow-up, which we probably should have put that on. I guess we could just talk about it now, but because it's kind of interesting, right?
No, it is. It is. The response from somebody is more interesting than anything else. That they decided to go after you on your page, which is
right.
A horrible idea.
It is a horrible idea, but so what happened is there's a gentleman named TJ Jones. He's running for TJ Hudson. There's so many people running in the primaries this time, and it's only July, but he's from Trutland County, which nobody knew where Trutland County was until a week and a half ago, when the dump truck guy, had his lift up and hit the bridge and knocked it 6 feet in the other direction, and they had to demolish it. That's Trutland County. So this guy is running for for Secretary of State in Georgia, but he was a probate judge. He's not a lawyer, but he was under investigation by the Judicial Qualifications Committee or Commission when he stepped down to run for statewide office. And this all came out a week and a half ago. I reported it. Associated Press reported it, which means that everybody reported it as well. AJC, all of it. And probate judges, he put someone in jail, and that person happened to be his family member, and he wasn't authorized to do that. He didn't have any authority to do it. And so he was under investigation for 10 allegations. And instead of continuing on with the investigation, he entered into a consent agreement to just agree not to seek a judgeship in the state of Georgia for 7 years. And now he's running for Secretary of State. So that news came out. Well, and he said he had no comment, and he just thought it was well handled, and he's ready to move on with his life. So he says all this. The news kind of goes viral for Georgia purposes. And then he puts out a statement that's 6 paragraphs. And I published it because if someone puts out a statement like that about something, I think it's important to follow up and include it. And no other news outlets did. Well, I did. I put it out in its entirety, unedited, just copy pasted it and explained what he was responding to. And I made a joke on my Facebook page, not in the article, but on my Facebook page that, he said it was just water under the bridge. And I was kind of funny that he's referencing a bridge when the bridge in Trutland County where he was a judge had to be demolished because a dump truck hit it. Well, this lady who works for the county commission in Trutland County and her friend and another friend came on and were just all kinds of mad about the jokes I was making about people in Trutland County, which is not how it happened. and just going after me. You did the whole like journalist in quotes thing that said I sound like someone from the National Enquirer, and that they my new favorite, that they were going to call my superiors. So just all that, and I'm like, you do realize that I put out his entire statement for like the public to see, right? Like that this isn't just on my Facebook page, it's on all of our business pages, it's on our website, it's on the Google webs, so that if someone enters in their search to find out about him, they can find his statement on it. But you're just sitting here attacking me because I made a joke about the bridge having to be demolished. And then they said I was a bully.
Never a good idea to attack somebody on their own page.
Well, no, because those are my people that are going to come in and defend me.
Yeah.
Except you, who chimes in and says, I don't trust the author.
I'm like, look, you have made it. You're in my circle of friends, which means I'm going to treat you awfully. Same thing with Matt Lowe. Same thing with my other friends. I don't say nice things about my friends online.
No, it doesn't bother me. It's just
I know.
But people will flip out when they don't.
Did.
Well, yes, but if
you'd call Connie.
Yes, I would call Connie and I'd tell her to, do the things she does. But which is kick your ass. But no, like if when you do comment that, usually there's somebody who doesn't know that we're friends because they don't listen to the show or for whatever reason, and they're like, oh, look at this guy, this must be your first time here, and then they start laying into you, which is entertaining for me. So
it's hilarious. But no, these chicks, they lay into you and listen to the show, and someone who corrects me most shows, Tiffany Taylor, pops up. I mean, it's great. You never have to say a word.
No, sometimes I do, but
yeah, but here's the thing: the joke was fine, and you even said it's a joke. Some people laugh at them.
He said it was water under the bridge. The same week that a dump truck demolished their bridge, and the actual bridge connected Highway 84 in their county, which is a really it's funny. I thought it was very funny as I typed it.
I say that stuff all the time. It's okay to laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. You can laugh. You can even support this guy and laugh about the bridge comment. It's okay. Good Lord. Speaking of dumpster fires, Jim Beck convicted on all 37 counts. 30 witnesses in 9 days, Jessica. We talked about it last week.
We did, and I'm not surprised. I mean, we talked about it, and I think we'd heard from the testimony from 3 witnesses had been published at that point. But Jim Beck took the stand in the second week of his own trial, which I don't really know why he did, because his defense, he has a good, supposedly his attorney is very good. And I don't know if he was adamant about taking the stand or if they were just throwing all the marbles down the bowling alley to see if any of them knocked over a pin or what. But I am astounded that he testified. I'm astounded that it went to trial, and it just got worse the more that came out. And the jury deliberated for an hour and 20 minutes, which when you consider that they have to go through each count individually and, sign and do their vote for 37 counts, that's not that many.
Yeah,
that's not that much time. Yeah,
this was not 12 Angry Men. Everybody was like, all right, let's get through this. And it took less than an hour and a half. Man. We were saying before the show, there's 2 things you don't do as a defendant in federal court. You don't act pro se as your own attorney, and you do not testify. It doesn't help. Well,
the feds have a 97 or 8% conviction rate too. I mean, I don't always like what they do, and I think a lot of their pleas are bullied into, agreement because they have the full faith and trust of the federal government behind them, and they do all kinds of, which one of the stories we're going to talk about is kind of odd with what they can and do in federal court. But
Look, we have said it many times. You can indict a ham sandwich when you're talking about state court. The feds, they are 100% batting average. A U.S. attorney does not want anything being found not guilty. They are
especially when it was a constitutional officer.
Right. Well, but it's anybody. If you actually get indicted in federal court, like you said, there's a 97% chance that you could be found guilty. They've done their research. This is not the, some podunk county prosecutor and sheriff. This is the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office has been looking into it with unlimited resources, and they've decided that they have better than a 97% chance of convicting you.
Well, and this isn't, I know it's going to shock some people. This isn't a dig at the GBI. It's just how they do things procedurally. But when the GBI starts an investigation, a lot of times, and it kind of backfires on them, but they will make an arrest early on, and then they'll continue their investigation. We've seen how that works out, and, I don't always agree with that. But the feds, they do all their investigating, and then they come to you with a warrant or with, a presentment to grand jury when they're like ready to go. Yes, this happened 2 years ago, but there's a couple other things that happened, which includes, the COVID pandemic, which changed the courts. And then, of course, they have to give the defense time to prepare, and they go through motions and trying to toss evidence. And I think they got 6 of the charges tossed before, like, as if that matters. There were 37 others. But, the feds come ready to, like, take your ass down. They don't do any more investigating after. Like, that's the entire premise of why a lot of people didn't vote for Jim Beck, including yours truly. Like, he was under investigation. Things were smelly when he was running for office. And then that's why 4 months after he was sworn in, he was indicted.
Was it Dale Russell who broke
Yes.
the story?
Yes.
Your
From
colleague at Fox 5? Mm-hmm. Yeah. This story broke before the election, before the general election. And people were so disconnected with anything local. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a council member for Jefferson, Georgia, which is far east of me. And we made the same observation that these guys can tell you what Biden or Trump had for breakfast, but if you ask them, what's going on with your local or state people, no, they don't even know who their state councilman is, or their state rep is, and we've said it many times. Obviously, not the listeners of the show. Listeners of the show are tied into what's going on with state and local, but
they're some of the smartest people in the state if they're listening to our show.
Well, exactly. But the vast majority of people were just voting for that R next to his name. I think he was he elected with Trump, or is that midterm?
No, he was with Kemp and all that.
With Kemp, so it was midterm for him. So they went with R. They had no idea who Jim Beck was. They had no idea.
They were voting against Stacey Abrams. That's what they did.
Right. Exactly. So they voted for the R and ignored the fact that this guy is a crook. And now we don't have to say allegedly anymore.
No. And he'll be sentenced in October, so he's on house arrest until then, which
is very polite.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not a violent criminal, so I don't think, I'm not sure. I don't know. It's like if they took him into custody immediately, that would just go on the back of his sentence in terms of credit for time served. So it's not like.
Oh, yeah.
But,
do you think?
So
do you think
I mean,
he's
it would be
getting
going.
Time?
Say what?
Do you think he's getting time?
I mean, I think it'll be like 15 months or something, like something stupid.
Something to say that we are punishing this guy, but not enough to put him in for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and maybe that's something in the 20s, because I know they have to use that sliding scale for the feds use a point system, and you actually in the federal system you get punished if you go to trial. Like you get points in your favor if you agree to
a plea.
To a plea early on,
and we
when
talked
they
about
offer
that.
you a plea. Yeah,
this guy knows he's guilty as sin. He was taking money in McDonald's bags.
Yeah,
he knows he's guilty as sin. Why wouldn't you plea out?
Well, one of the things that came out, which is hilarious to me, so apparently there was like $880,000 from 2014 to 2018 in cash that he said he paid a computer programmer. And he said that the computer programmer asked to be paid in cash. So he just took the money and he put it in his safe at home. And then he would pay the computer programmer to do all these things for the Georgia Underwriting Association or Underwriters Association and the Christian Coalition and whatever the other one, the green thing. So which is hilarious because, I mean, I've worked with computer programmers. We all know some tech savvy people. Those are the people who are like, yeah, here, while we're on the phone, let me just go ahead and send you a digital invoice. And here are your options. You can pay with PayPal or cryptocurrency or, ACH. Like, they are way technologically savvy, not the kind of people who are like, yeah, do you by chance receive cash in a McDonald's bag that you could just like transfer off to me?
You want to be able to write that money off or account for that money as any sort of organization. So even if I pay somebody in cash, and I occasionally do, and obviously I'm not talking McDonald's bag full of cash, but every once in a while I have to pay day labor or something like that, I make note of it because I don't want to pay tax on that money.
Right.
So I make note of it.
$880,000.
Yeah, that's a little above my my area of paying for day labor.
Day labor.
Better than $750,000 in day labor. No, I'm talking about a guy who may run a wire for me. I pay a couple $100 or something. But even I track. I get who it's going to. I have them fill out a W-9. I have all that information and I submit it with my taxes so I can write that money off. So look, Jim Beck is full of doo-doo. Either he's insane and he believes it, or he's a liar, or both. But moving on from this, from something that was supposed to take 5 minutes, a number of businesses that condemned Georgia's sweeping voting rights bill have since contributed thousands of dollars to supporters of the legislation after it was signed in March by Governor Brian Kemp.
I'll take things that aren't surprising at all for 1,000, Alex. I mean, are we surprised that a business is contributing to people who are in power so that they can get the things that they want?
They all play both sides.
Right.
That's why when I hear that this company or that company contributed to Stacey Abrams, I'm like, yeah, did they also contribute to Kemp? Well, yeah. Well, that's why. They're hedging their bets. This is what you do when your major concern is making sure that you stay in business. You play both sides.
And in their, so the fundraising things came out earlier this month, and it's not even election season. So the businesses that are kind of the ones that, just because a business hasn't doesn't mean they won't when things get really heated over the next 12 months. But I think it's funny because this organization, the Advanced Democracy nonprofit, which is led by a former FBI analyst, they're all up in arms because between April and June of this year, the elected officials received a combined $20,000 from a couple of companies, which, is a bold, and given the negative publicity, sure. Is it a bold time to donate? Yeah, because they didn't have to then, like I said, but $20,000 for across the state, across elected officials, given how much money these organizations, through the actual organization, through their CEOs and then their employees, how much they funnel to elected officials, that's nothing.
It also shows it's all theater.
Yes. But Chris Carr he got money from Comcast, and then there's McGuire Woods, which is a consulting company, or a law firm, excuse me, but they do consulting and stuff. They donated to several of the sponsors, including Jeff Mullis, and then Live Nation, who was opposed to it, gave to Jeff Mullis, and he was the sponsor in the Senate. But it's just. Well, you got played.
McGuire Woods in Richmond, or McGuire Woods out of Richmond, signed on to the "We Stand for Democracy" statement. you know, just stay out. Just stay out of it. I don't know what they were trying to, I don't know what Live Nation was trying to accomplish with this, other than the fact that Live Nation sells tickets for shows. And they certainly didn't want to piss off any artists who say they won't use Live Nation as a, I think that, what do they promote shows and all that stuff. So I'm sure coming out against this law was a way of appeasing the artists and possibly the audience going to shows. Live Nation doesn't care what type of show you're putting on. If you're doing rap or bluegrass, they don't care. Their business is selling shows. Well,
and then, the article, which was on The Hill, made sure to point out that Coca-Cola and Delta had not, which those two companies are based here in Georgia. And while you can argue all day long that in the scheme of things, like people who are addicted to their Coke Zero and love their Coke Zero are not going to give up Coke Zero because Coke spoke out against Republicans. And Delta Airlines, like, they need their tax credit. So right. When it comes Delta, down to it.
Yeah, Delta will be contributing to anybody who, during that special session we had for hurricane relief, voted for the tax credit for Delta.
On jet fuel,
yeah. That stuff is not going away. It's just the way it is. And like you said, it's very early. And I'm fairly upset we're even talking about the 2022 election right now. We're 8 months away from the primary. We're 8 months away from qualifying.
Mm-hmm. It'll be in March.
And it is July. And we already have somebody announcing for Secretary of State. We already have 3 people announced for governor.
There's 4 Democrats running for lieutenant governor.
It's ridiculous. We shouldn't be talking election stuff right now. I would like to have an off year between the big national election and the midterms and the big national election. And they're already talking about who's going to run in 24 for president. Good Lord, give it a rest. You exhaust the electorate. Like I guarantee you, people will be tired of seeing Vernon Jones' face and name everywhere before.
We can only hope. We can only hope.
Man, we're not going to get into Vernon Jones again. We've hammered him pretty well. What we will get into is Representative Hank Johnson from Georgia was arrested during a voting rights protest on Capitol Hill. It was a BLM protest.
Chant.
Yeah, locked arms and continued to chant, "Hey, hey, ho, ho," which he really shouldn't be calling the senators hoes. The filibuster has got to go.
I'm okay with the ho-ho because when Jackie Johnson was running last year, there was a video that I posted under every comment section, whether it was on my page or anywhere else, where this little boy was at a protest with his megaphone shouting, "Hey, hey, ho-ho, Jackie Johnson got to go." So I'm okay with the ho-ho.
Now, keep in mind, he is Georgia Representative Hank Johnson.
Congressman Guam tips over Hank Johnson.
Yes. Oh, that video. Oh my God, that video is awesome. Where he's actually questioning a member of the military about putting too much weight on an island and that it might tip over.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
We don't anticipate that.
Everybody was shocked, including the witness. Like, what?
Yeah.
So this guy's not playing with a full deck.
No, but he was one of 8, I think, that were arrested. And they were taken into custody because apparently the Capitol Police had on numerous occasions said that they were, or warned them that they were demonstrating without a permit and blocking the entrance to the building. Now, all day long, no matter who you are, no matter what your cause is, I think it's ridiculous that you have to have a permit to protest, especially at the Capitol. I think it's bogus. But if you're blocking the entrance to the building, like hello. I mean, that happened here in Georgia at our state capitol. I think what was it? At the end of 2018.
And look, he knows what's going to happen. He wanted to be arrested. This is a feather in the cap for liberal Democrats to get arrested protesting. They think it's some sort of virtuous thing, like protesting the Vietnam War to get arrested. Look, Hank, you had your chance to run for Senate. You could have resigned your House seat and run for Senate with Warnock or with Pajama Boy. You had your chance. If you want control of what the Senate does, run for the Senate, jackass. You're in the House. Get in your damn box. Worry about what the House does.
Well, not only that, but the elected officials who put themselves in a position to get arrested, like, and I'm not talking about John Lewis in the civil rights era. I'm talking about John Lewis on the, at the Capitol when he, rest in peace. Hank Johnson right now, Nikema Williams, who was the state senator in Georgia. Now she's the congresswoman who replaced John Lewis. Park Cannon. You have a platform as an elected official. And if you tell the media that you want to speak, they're going to come running with their cameras and their recorders, and they're going to give you the platform to say whatever you want. And to get arrested and then claim victimhood, I don't respect that at all.
No, you protest against the man. Hank Johnson is the man.
Right.
He's in charge of writing laws, and he's in the majority in the House. So How do you protest against the man when you are the man? He's not speaking truth to power. This is not virtuous. This is nothing more than a political stunt so he can come back to his district and go, look what I did. Look what I sacrificed for you.
And Francis Johnson was another one of the ones that was arrested, and if his name sounds familiar, he was the former head of the Georgia NAACP. Then I think he was appointed as the executive director of the New Georgia Project, which is the controversial Stacey Abrams voting nonsense thing. But also, he is one of the attorneys for the family of Julian Lewis, which is the man who was in that police chase with the trooper from Screven that happened in Screven County that we've talked about on the show, and that has been covered extensively on the Georgia Virtue. But Francis was there along with one of the other attorneys from Atlanta that is handling that case, and they were taken into custody as well. And there's pictures of them. They're standing in front of the door, so nobody can get in and nobody can get out.
Yet if someone were to go up and punch him in his face and move them out of the way so they could have access to the people's building, they'd be arrested for assault. Speaking of Capitol Hill, a federal judge forced U.S. Capitol rioter to unlock his laptop on Wednesday after prosecutors argued that it is likely contained footage of the January 6th insurrection, quote unquote insurrection, from his helmet cam.
First of all, are we going to talk about the fact that he had a helmet-worn camera? What an idiot.
I even say people who have cameras in their cars, that's nothing but evidence for the prosecution.
Well, sometimes that stuff does vindicate other people, though. I mean, I've seen it, especially, like truckers, when someone says, oh, he just came over to my lane, and it actually shows that a driver cut the trucker off. I mean, but a helmet-worn camera at a big protest like that, what were you anticipating?
The fact that it's a helmet-worn camera.
Yeah.
It's one thing.
It's not just a body camera.
Yeah, it's one thing if you take a GoPro and put it on your hat, or they make head straps for for GoPros, something like that. But he was wearing a helmet, which means he anticipated being hit in the head.
And so this is Guy, was it Refit? I'm not really sure how you say his name, but he's the one. So he's been in the news a lot because I guess his family is concerned about his mental state because he told them he would kill them if they turned him over to the FBI in the beginning. And there's other pictures of him. That's obviously how they knew he had a helmet-worn camera. And the prosecutors said that they want to know his intentions. And they want to see footage of the handgun that he brought to the Capitol.
Well, there's a couple of things. You can't carry a pistol to the Capitol.
Okay, but they already have a picture of him doing it.
Right.
And they don't need to know his intentions. I mean, like we just talked about the feds. I don't like this. I understand that it's permissible, but I don't like this at all. If they don't know how to get into his laptop, that's tough. You're the federal government. Hack it.
Well, this is just a modern version of a search warrant and saying, open your safe.
No.
How is it not? I mean, it's.
No, I'm saying my answer is no.
Right. Your answer is no. And then they get somebody to drill it.
Do it. Fine. But I'm not going to make it easier for you. And I'm going to close my freaking eyes when you put me in front of the camera, too.
The search warrant on the computer is absolutely valid. You don't think so?
It's not actually, Dave. It says that it was expired.
Well, it had expired, yes. The original warrant was valid. It had expired by then. I don't know what their holdup was on it. If
incompetence.
Quite possibly. I don't. What bothers me more than this individual guy, because he does sound like he's got a couple screws loose, is the wording in the stories. Insurrection. It wasn't a damn insurrection. It wasn't an attempt to overthrow anything. And look, I'm a Second Amendment guy, but I also know if I carry a pistol to D.C. and get caught, I'm going to jail.
Well, what do you think the guy was? I mean, so there's two reasons that I don't like this. One, I think that, I understand that this is permissible, but I don't like the practice of it. And two, this guy is going to, I think we're going through the motions here. He's going to prison. He is, but what do you think that a guy who has a helmet-worn camera and they already know he had a gun, what do you think he was there to do? Right. And look, the only thing he could even argue is that he wanted to document the protest and the only mount he had for his GoPro was a helmet. Yeah. But that doesn't excuse away the pistol. And look, anywhere else, well, not anywhere else in the country, most places in the country, it would have been perfectly permissible to have a pistol on you at a demonstration. It certainly is in Georgia. But I don't know what he was trying to accomplish with a pistol. You're certainly not going to unseat Mike Pence with a pistol. No, what did Biden say you needed?
A nuke, an F-15.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. But, I don't know.
So anyway, yeah, this I don't understand why the feds can't hack it.
Well,
the federal government employs white hat hackers. Thousands of them.
They spy on us all day long, every day.
Oh, sure.
And they said it could contain valuable evidence. Well, that's not good enough for me.
All their computer people are monitoring Facebook and reporting COVID posts.
Well, that's true. They've been busy.
So, wasteful government expenditure of the week. San Francisco considers adding new trash cans with a cost up to $20,000 each. Seems a little expensive for a trash can, Jessica.
It does. I don't own a $20,000 trash can. Although I will say that, like, a nice trash can is expensive. Have you purchased a trash can anytime in the last couple of years?
No.
They are expensive. Like if you don't
supplies it.
No. I mean, like even inside, like a trash can is an expensive home relative to what it is. That you're literally putting trash in it. But I'm not sure that $20,000 is justifiable. So they're trying to get. They want them to be a canister that you cannot reach your hand into because, they have a huge homelessness problem and people are always rummaging through them. So they want them to be more secure, but they also want them to be visually pleasing.
Visually pleasing. Mm-hmm. Man, San Francisco's a damn mess. It's just a damn mess. They're treating homeless people like you treat bears. Be sure to get a good seal in your trash can because you don't want to attract bears.
And they're purchasing a handful of them, and so I guess that is why they're so expensive. But the hope is that they'll see success with them. They'll see less trash on the streets, and then as a result, they'll buy more and they'll get a bulk rate, and so they won't be as expensive. But I mean, let's say they bought 10 at $20,000 each, or almost 20,000. I mean, if you buy 100, it's not gonna go down to $100 a piece. Like these are still pretty expensive trash cans.
Well, it's because they're not spending their own money. Like if you had to buy your own trash can to put on the street and you wanted to secure it against bears, you would find the best one at the best deal. Government doesn't care.
No.
And people know when they're bidding for government stuff that, honestly, they upcharge. They know. They know that they can hammer the government for stuff. But it's San Fran. I mean, nothing shocks me coming out of San Fran.
Okay, hold on a second. San Francisco gave you Jessica Szilagyi.
And for that, I will never forgive them. No,
that's your opinion.
Speaking of, this is a good time to remind you that these are our opinions and not those of anyone not on the show or any respective company for which we may work, own, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find other episodes and relevant stories over at thegeorgiavirtue.com. You teed that one up for me.
I did.
So, our old buddy Chris Carr appointed special prosecutors in 2 high-profile cases this week, both a result of former Fulton County DA Paul Howard.
Yeah, Fannie Willis, the lady who defeated him last November, she didn't want the Garrett Rolfe case or the other controversial case with this. Remember when the APD officers smashed the window and it was on live television and they pulled the college students out and that whole thing. So there's 2 separate cases, but that was in the wake of the protests of the Rayshard Brooks shooting. But Fannie Willis. So Paul Howard, he obviously indicted or charged those officers, and then he obviously charged Rolfe and Devin Brosnan, but she didn't want to touch it. She said that it was tainted because it was the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, and Chris Carr didn't want it, and he refused to accept her request for a recusal, and then it went before a judge last month, and he ruled in her favor. It's interesting. I think that, she was elected to make tough decisions. I'm not sure who's left over in her office from his tenure, but I know that when this was happening with Jackie Johnson and her office was getting recused left and right after the Ahmaud Arbery stuff came out, I know that it wasn't Jackie Johnson that was recused. It was the office. And so just because her replacement came in, he can't resume prosecuting those cases. Like the one with the Glenn County police officers that we've talked about, that was appointed to given to a DA from Southwest Georgia, and they had to re-indict it or they're about to re-indict it, but he's doing it again, even though Keith Higgins has taken over. So it's the office that they recuse people from. It's not the actual district attorney themselves. So do I think she should have had to do it? Yeah, because she's the replacement. But the law is talking about the circuit, not just the elected person with the conflicts.
Well, she also sees the case as a loser.
Sure, it's suicide for her, political suicide.
Right. There's no winning in this case. Paul Howard really stepped on his pecker when he indicted Rolfe. I mean, it's a dog of a case. No prosecutor's going to win this case. This is the Wendy shooting.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the one that was the GBI is like, yeah, we're investigating, and then things started. The GBI released the footage, and then Paul Howard's like, yeah, we're gonna arrest them. So and that has already started unraveling. I mean, Rolfe and he had his how long after was it? Almost a year where he had his civil service board proceedings where they said that he was wrongfully terminated. Well, that happened with two of the officers in the other case too, with the college students. But the picks by, so it goes to Chris Carr, and then Chris Carr appoints somebody. They were pretty strategic. So in the officer case, like the one with the college students, they picked Samir Patel from Cherokee County, and he was just appointed by Kemp in April. So he's not even, he'll have to run for re-election, I guess, next year maybe, or maybe, it's Cherokee County. I don't really think it's going to hurt him, but he's not even duly elected. So they picked him.
Yeah.
Samir Patel.
Samir Patel.
Are we going to talk about, that was strategic.
That's count.
No, it's Carr.
No, sorry, I was talking about the appointment.
Oh, sure.
Whereas, our DA here in Paulding County is suspended, and luckily the head ADA is taking over the office. But yeah, he's still, of course, he's acting. He's not appointed. He's acting. The DA's office still belongs to Dick Donovan, and Dick Donovan's still making his money sitting at home, which is, when you say it's a waste of money, he wasn't doing much more than sitting around and flirting with his victim's right advocate anyway, so he was a waste of money to begin with.
Most prosecutors are.
But, I think it is interesting that an appointed district attorney was brought in. It is interesting because he could have gone anywhere in the state for a special prosecutor, and he went to one who was appointed.
You don't even have to pick a current elected prosecutor. You can pick someone else too.
Oh, sure. Any attorney.
But Samir Patel, you picked a minority.
Right. Yeah. It's all a game. Yes, he was aware
in Cherokee County.
He was picking someone who leans right and is brown. That's no mistake.
Well, and I think, if they're going to present the indictment, or they've actually been indicted, I think, but they're going to present the case, and the chips will fall where they may. I don't, if go through the process. If you feel like that's what needs to happen, then let's go through the process. But they chose somebody who won't suffer politically for it, because in Cherokee County, if that's the only person on the ticket, that's who's going to be, or on the Republican ticket, that's who will win the general election. It's Cherokee County. So,
right. Yeah.
it's not like, it's the same thing as if you would have picked the DA down here. The only difference here where we are is that it's Daphne Totten, and there's not a level of competence there. But it was safe for Carr to pick him. He won't suffer for it.
I'm just impressed Chris Carr did anything.
The judge said he had to.
When has that ever stopped Chris Carr from doing nothing?
He took a break from his barbecue tour.
From his barbecue tour. I like barbecue.
Well, barbecue's fine, but I mean, all we see on Twitter is him touring the state, thanking people for supporting him while he's at a barbecue restaurant.
Well, we have the statement from the executive director, Peter Skandalakis.
It's a statement, but he was appointed on the Rolfe case.
Right. And this is from the PAC, the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia. Pursuant to OCGA 15-18-6, I have been designated district attorney pro tempore by Attorney General to handle the Fulton County case, the state of Georgia versus Devin Brosnan and Garrett Rolfe. I and my agency will conduct a thorough review of the facts and circumstances surrounding this case, and as with any case that comes before us, we will proceed where the evidence leads us. We recognize the community is eager for resolution, and we ask for patience as we begin our work. Pursuant to Rule 3.8 of the Georgia Rules of Professional Conduct, we are unable to release any further information at this time. Future updates will be made available on our website and social media.
Not elected.
Pretty vanilla statement, though.
He's not elected.
Right, but the statement's very vanilla. I think the statement's fine. It's, hey, we're just now having this hit our desk. Give us a minute. And we're not going to release minute by minute what we find out on Twitter. We can't. But as things become available for release, we'll do it on social media and on our sites and all that stuff. That's a very vanilla statement. Do you think this goes anywhere?
I mean, I feel like he has to present it to a grand jury. If he just does what, Sherry Boston did in DeKalb, where she looked at the evidence with the Byrd Trooper case and said, I don't think there's any.
Then pitchforks and torches come out for them.
Right. They have to, and then blame it on the grand jurors. I don't know, I guess. I mean.
You can also pull a hammy. Pull a hamstring in front of the grand jury and present the case very poorly. And go, oh, yep. Well, the grand jury didn't indict, so I did everything I could.
It doesn't matter what happens, though. Atlanta is going to burn.
Of all the people, I don't know. The heroes of this whole thing are all scumbags. We've got the story from last week, guys high on meth, and they're calling it a homicide because he got nailed down for 2 minutes. You got George Floyd, who had enough fentanyl in him to kill an elephant. Not that excuses Chauvin, but, we got a guy who pointed a gun at a pregnant woman to rob her. The heroes in these cases are just awful. The guy... in this case at Wendy's, the dude was so hammered, he didn't realize he was in Atlanta. He thought he was in Forest Park or something. He thought his hotel was across the street. His hotel was 10 miles away. And then steals a weapon and points it at the officers. Why are we making these people into heroes? This is not Rosa Parks refusing to leave her seat. This is a guy that took a weapon, though it be less than lethal, took a weapon away from a police officer and pointed it at him.
Oh, less than lethal in this case, but in the officer case that Samir Patel has been appointed to, they used to taser, and they said it was a lethal use of force against the college kids.
Right. So we're making heroes out of the worst people. Like I said, this is not Rosa Parks. This is not Martin Luther King being arrested. This is not people who are sitting in diners doing sit-ins. These are genuinely bad people. And again, this does not excuse Chauvin for kneeling on somebody who'd already been whipped for 20 minutes. His actions stand alone. It is funny that the mural was struck by lightning, which I've never heard of a paint being struck by lightning like that.
No.
We're really picking unsympathetic victims here. And, we talked about it before with the Chauvin case. Chauvin was visibly shaken up. This interaction was very professional. I mean, look, the guy was going to jail for DUI. And he was passed out in the Wendy's drive-thru. I mean, he was going to jail for DUI, justifiably so. But everything else was very polite to that point. This was not him yanking the guy out of the car, beating the snot out of him, and shooting him. This was, hey, listen, you're way over the limit. You're going to go to jail tonight, and that it could have ended right there. So, God Almighty,
I don't have much sympathy for somebody who takes anything from an officer or his belt and points it back at the officer. I don't. You're not.
Look, man, you point a taser at me, you're probably gonna get blasted. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way it is. But so I don't know where they're gonna go with this particular case. If they're gonna take it, I guess they take it to the grand jury. The grand jury will either come back with an indictment or not. I think Chauvin has got a hell of a defense, and of course he's got back pay.
You mean
coming.
Rolf?
Rolf, sorry, Rolf. Yeah, I think Rolf's got a hell of a defense, and he's got back pay coming to him now. I don't know if he'll ever get on the road again because his name is ruined. Mm-hmm. Even outside the city of Atlanta, anywhere else you go. If he ever had to pull a weapon again, they would reference this last story. Mm-hmm. So, Jessica, do you have any closing thoughts?
Just one little tidbit of good news. David Ralston's not running for U.S. Senate next year, so that's exciting.
Damn it. Damn it. That would have got him out of the House.
Yeah, but I just didn't want to run the risk.
I always said before, even if he won, even if he became the senator from Georgia, he would be one of 100. He'd be a junior senator with essentially no power other than to vote yay or nay, versus being the most powerful politician in the state of Georgia as Speaker of the House. Look, he is the reason we don't have constitutional carry in the state. He won't do it.
He's the reason we don't have a lot of things, but I agree.
I even said on one of the candidates' pages, and they asked about which tax would you eliminate first, the sales tax or the income tax. And I said income tax, but Ralston's never going to let that happen. Mm-hmm. But hey, if I'm charged with a crime, I'm going to hire Ralston, so I never have to go to court. No. Well, the Cleveland Indians have announced a name change to the Guardians starting in 2022. Good Lord, have mercy. There's always protests. It's almost never Native Americans protesting it. It's almost always rich white liberals. I will say their cartoony mascot definitely need to change. I don't know if they need to change the entire name, but the cartoony Native American head that you see if you watch Major League and all that stuff definitely needed to change. But I wonder if this is the first domino knocking down other Native American team names like the Braves. There's a reason that Native American names are used on weapon systems like Tomahawk, Apache, because they're fearsome. They were respected, fierce fighters. It's not an insult to say, we're fearsome, we're the Braves, we're the Chiefs. It's because they are highly regarded in history as fearsome fighters. And that's why we name mascots things, because we want something that's fierce, rebels, Apache. We use these names as something fearsome. My personal college team, Florida Gators. It's a fearsome animal. It's supposed to, the idea is to strike fear in your opponents, which I know the name doesn't, but it's to have a rallying cry behind it. And I
Didn't
think
the Gators lose to Georgia Southern?
they did a couple years ago. Yes, and Eric would be very happy to hear that. When
Was
Florida,
that hard for you?
It was, especially when I had two players from Florida blocking each other in a play. Yes, you put a 3-foot wide smile on Eric saying that.
Yeah.
If he actually listens this deep into the show. A-hole. So, speaking of, for Eric Cumby, our editor, for my co-host and snot, Jessica Szilagyi, I'm Dave Roberts. Have a great week.
Eric here. Some of you probably thought that this is the end of the show and that I was just going to let that go. But for those of you that really know me, y'all know that's not my style. So here we go.
Barring a penalty that is, 8 seconds remain. 4th down and 2 at the 16-yard line. Snap to Morningweg. Looking right, moving, looking, throwing, catch is made, and it's over and complete. Georgia Southern will win this one. The Eagles drain the swamp. Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year, Eagle Nation. Remember this day, November 23rd, 2013. Georgia Southern just beat Florida 26-20. Hey now!